Hello and welcome to Mr. Mayor's Book Chats. I'm going to talk about 4 new books that we have down here at the library that are available for you to check out. First one is called Cemetery Boys. And this book is one that I probably typically wouldn't have picked up just because I'm not a big fan of fantasy that much, but I really did enjoy this. It is about a 18-year-old named Yadriel, and he descends from a long line of Brujeks. And those people have been granted magic powers by Lady Death to heal the living and to guide spirits into the afterlife. And although Yadriel's grown up surrounded by this close-knit community and heard stories and he's been looking forward to kind of going through the ceremony of becoming a Brujo, he feels kind of alone because his dad is not accepting of him and is not going to let him go through this ceremony because he is transgender. And so he is kind of dealing with the disappointment of his father. He's ticked off because he's not allowed to go through the ceremony. But when he senses that his cousin Miguel has died suddenly, he decides that he's going to kind of take matters in his own hands and show everyone that he's a true Brujo by solving the mystery and releasing Miguel's spirit. So he kind of goes through his ceremony on his own, and plans quickly fall apart because instead of finding and summoning the spirit of Miguel, he summons somebody else's spirit, the spirit of Julian Diaz, a boy that is from his high school that also died suddenly. But Julian's got some unfinished business to take care of and wants to know what exactly happened before his death. And he's got some issues that need to be taken care of. But as Julian and Yadriel continue to hang out, Yadriel's not so sure he wants Julian to leave. So there's lots of fantasy, lots of things about Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, and kind of the culture of that. Very interesting read. If you like fantasy, if you like mystery, check that one out. This next book is one of my favorite books that I've read in quite a while. It's called Punching the Air. It's by Ibi Zoboi and Yusef Salaam. Now, Yusef Salaam was part of, if you've ever heard of the Central Park Five, or they're sometimes known as the Exonerated Five now. When he was a teenager, he was wrongfully convicted of a crime that took place in Central Park. And after nearly 7 years in prison, DNA evidence cleared his name and he was exonerated. So this isn't biographical in any way of his story, but it does bring up kind of the same unjust, systematic problems that young African Americans face. So this tells a story of Amal, who is an artist and a poet. And even in a diverse art school, he's seen as disruptive and unmotivated based on this biased school system. And one day he is in a fight. He is in an altercation in a neighborhood that in a gentrifying neighborhood, in a white neighborhood, and this scuffle turns into tragedy, and he is arrested. And suddenly, at just 16 years old, his bright future is upended, and he's convicted of a crime he didn't commit and sent to prison. And this tells a story of how he's got to kind of hold on to his innocence where a world doesn't believe him. It is told in verse, so it won't take you terribly long to read, but super interesting, will raise a lot of questions, will make you angry, but check this one out. Next one is a little bit lighter in subject. It's called Neanderthal Opens the Door to the Universe. If you like funny books, check this one out. This tells the story of Cliff. Cliff is a huge loser, and literally, he's huge. He's 6'6", he's 250 pounds, and he has the nickname Neanderthal. And he's got really no one at school that hangs out with him. His mom and dad don't really pay much attention to him. He just kind of loafs around in life. And there's no one Cliff hates more than kind of the cool quarterback at school, Aaron Zimmerman. But when something happens to Aaron Zimmerman and Aaron goes into this coma and recovers, after he gets out of the coma, Aaron has this bizarre claim that while he was unconscious, he saw God, who gave him a list of things to do to make their high school, Happy Valley High, suck less. And God said there's only one person that can do it with Aaron, and that would be Neanderthal, Cliff. So to his own surprise, Cliff says, hey, yeah, I'll do it. And as he and Aaron kind of go through this list of ways to make high school suck less, they kind of form this friendship along the way. So just kind of a high school realistic fiction, funny book. And the last book I'm going to talk to you today is called Grown by Tiffany Jackson. She is the same author of Allegedly. A lot like her other books, this one can be tough to read at times because she pulls no punches. This is about a 17-year-old girl named Enchanted who has had to move. Previously she lived with her grandma, and even though her grandma's apartment was kind of cramped and everyone all together, she could do everything that she loved to do. She could still swim. She could sing. She loves to sing most of all. But now she has to move, and she has to go to a new private school. And even though it's more diverse, she doesn't get to do as much of what she loves. Well, one day, Enchanted catches the eye of a 28-year-old music superstar at a singing competition. And she pushes kind of that voice in the back of her head that says, I'm not so sure this is a great thing, and her parents saying this isn't a great thing. She pushes all that aside and decides to go on tour with this guy. And she quickly finds out that this guy is not so good for her, and the relationship becomes abusive. And she has to decide how she can get out of this relationship before it's too late. Just like her other books, this is a little bit of a mystery in it. There's lots of action. There's lots of questioning. You'll want to keep reading it until the very end. As always, all of these books are available down here at the library. Hope you can check them out and enjoy them.